We saw ahead of us, just above Polkapelle, an SC half spinning down, closely pursued by a silvery blue German triplane at very close range.
The SE-5's tormentor is German ace Werner Voss. He fires a burst into the British plane. B-Flight looks on. The wounded SE-5 trails thick black smoke as Voss engages a second SE-5. Effortlessly, the triplane pitches up, wings over, and drops onto the SE-5's tail. With 56 Squadron looking on from above, the triplane has made quick work of 2 SE-5s. Voss's Fokker triplane is a prototype aircraft, though slower than most fighters on the front. Its 3 wings give it astonishing maneuverability. McCudden and 56 Squadron's Scout Experimental 5A, or SE-5A, operational in May 1917, is easy to fly and an extremely stable gun platform. Both planes are heavily armed with 2 machine guns. The SE-5, with a top speed of 130 miles per hour, is faster than the Fokker, but the Fokker is more maneuverable. B-Flight is now above and behind Voss, in perfect attack position. McCudden and Rhys-Davids will lead the attack. Keith K. Muspratt and VP Cronin will follow. The remaining 2 members of B-Flight stay up high as top cover. McCudden signals the attack by rocking his wings.
And it was at that point that one of the epic dogfights of World War I began.
Down we dived at colossal speed. I went to the right, Rhys-Davids to the left, and we got behind the German triplane together.
Confident of an easy kill, McCudden and Rhys-Davids open up. But Voss is anything but an easy target. He's been trained in the Dicta-Bolka, the first codified air combat tactics, laid down in 1916 by German ace Oswald Bolka. Rule 5 states you should always turn into your enemy's attack and put him on the defensive. Voss will boot hard right rudder and spin his machine around 180 degrees. The bizarre maneuver takes advantage of the triplane's stunning agility.
The German pilot saw us and turned in a most disconcertingly quick manner. Not a climbing nor Immelmann turn, but a sort of flat half spin.
The DR-1 triplane, having 3 wings, had an exceptional amount of lift to it. What it allowed the triplane to do was to basically do what's called a flat half spin or an uncoordinated turn.
The SE-5s face a torrent of tracers. McCudden and Rhys-Davids pull into a steep climb called zooming in World War I. But Cronin's SE-5 is sluggish. He drops below Voss, his engines sputtering. McCudden, Rhys-Davids, and Muspratt are here, above Voss. Cronin is below the fight, easy prey for the German ace. Voss reverses and attacks Cronin. Cronin's sputtering engine coughs to life. He now turns directly into Voss and opens fire at 300 feet. Voss breaks off his attack, but he's not running away, even if it's 4 against 1.
Cronin takes on a role in the battle at this point, not unlike a matador. He is deciding to stay in the fight and to stay ahead of Voss and to act as a distraction.
Cronin gun is thrown from side to side within the open cockpit.
I don't know how many times I got in a burst head on, then dived in under him while all the while he was drilling at and into me. But damn it, why didn't the others take him on? Did they think I was showing off?
Above the fight, McCudden circles, looking for an opening. McCudden will wait for Voss to expose his 6 o'clock, then dive in and attack. Voss turns after Cronin. McCudden pitches down. He opens up with his Vickers machine gun. But in the blink of an eye, Voss reverses, returning fire with his twin Spandaus. McCudden hurtles past, then zoom climbs. Voss maneuvers bravely in spite of the odds.
In a group combat like that, when it's 1 against 4, the best place to be is in the middle of everybody else. Because they're circling around you trying to maneuver, but they have to be careful, A, they don't shoot each other, or B, they don't crash into each other.
But McCudden is determined. He again noses over. No sooner do McCudden's guns spark to life than Voss pulls his nose to bear. Hot German lead tears through McCudden's SE-5, shredding fabric and wooden wing spars. Voss appears invincible at the controls of the triplane.
The airplanes of that era were creatures of the air. You felt every input that you gave to the controls. You had cable connections to the ailerons, the rudder, the elevators. Not at all like today, where we have fly-by-wire jets where you move a control stick 1/8 of an inch and you get a knife-edge flight all of a sudden.
Voss's mastery of his machine finally catches up to VP Cronin. His SE-5 has taken severe damage.
He finally got too close to me, and I resorted in desperation to the old method of shaking a pursuing machine.
He puts his aircraft into something that looks like a spin, almost as if he's either been incapacitated or the aircraft has been somehow disabled. After a couple of revolutions, it appears that Voss actually buys it and lets him fly away.
Voss has knocked 3 SE-5s out of the fight and landed hits on any British pilot who's approached him. But now, 3 more SE-5s of 56 Squadron join the fray. A startling array of pilots now surround Werner Voss, all British aces. The light and agile triplane could easily climb above the combat and escape, but Voss savors the thrill of the dogfight. The German ace is destined for glory or death. September 23rd, 1917. In the midst of a wild melee, famed German ace Werner Voss holds his own against no less than 6 top British aces. Voss savors the combat, superbly demonstrating the lethal effectiveness of his prototype Fokker triplane.
His stick and throttle ability, his ability to fly it in a disciplined way in a fight, his ability to stay not calm, but to keep his wits about him in these very stressful situations. If he were flying with us today, he'd probably be one of the best.
British SE-5 pilot Richard Mayberry now zeroes in on Voss, diving on him from 6 o'clock. Voss breaks right to shake him off. but Mayberry is not thrown.
At this point in the battle, things get very complicated and very confused. An Albatros joins the battle, which of course helps Voss considerably, at least numerically.
A German Albatros D3 has stumbled into the action, turning easily onto Mayberry's tail. Mayberry zoom climbs to shake the Albatros. A German pilot gives chase. But even worse, Voss latches on as well. Flying nearby, James McCutton and Arthur Rhys-Davids move in behind the Germans. And for a moment, the battle is transformed into a wild, twisting tail chase. The Germans are sandwiched between the British. The Albatros pitches up, zooms, then drops in behind McCutton and Rhys-Davids. The German yanks the stick back. The gut-churning loop puts him squarely behind the British.
Unfortunately for Rhys-Davids, the Albatros manages to unload his guns into his airplane.
But Rhys-Davids stays in the fight, the Albatros still on his tail. Now, at the head of the chase, Richard Mayberry will pitch up and loop back on the tail of the red-nosed Albatros. Mayberry yanks the stick back, throwing his SE-5 into a dizzying acrobatic maneuver. He fires from point-blank range. The wounded Albatros plummets. Voss is alone once again. He zooms, distancing himself from the slower climbing SE-5s. Voss looks down at the plane circling below. He could easily disengage and live to fight another day, but the enticement of the kill runs hot through his veins.
I think actually he got greedy, and he was looking at an opportunity to notch number 49 and number 50, and furthermore to close the gap on his friend and rival Manfred von Richthofen.
Voss dives back into the fray. He fires his Spandau machine guns into the nearest SE-5. Its engine pummeled. The British pilot dives out of the fight. The dogfight rages above no man's land. Voss handles the triplane superbly, pumping rounds into each of the attacking SE-5s. But it isn't enough.
The thing that's unfortunate for Voss is that he never really put enough planes out of commission to gain any sort of advantage. All the bullets he put into all those planes, he never drew a drop of blood from any of those opponents.
To the British, Voss seems invulnerable.
The triplane was still circling round in the midst of 6 SEs who were all firing at it as opportunity offered. And at one time I noted the triplane in the apex of a cone of tracer bullets from at least 5 machines simultaneously, and each machine had 2 guns.
The British are dumbstruck by the skill and tenacity of the German pilot in the Fokker triplane. But Werner Voss's luck is about to run out. Voss is here. British ace James McCutton is here. They'll streak in, head on. But Voss doesn't see another SE-5 coming in from the side. The SE-5 on the side watches the merge. Then opens fire. Rounds slam into the triplane's cockpit and fuselage. Voss stays aloft, but for the first time in the battle, he takes no evasive action. Then, Arthur Rhys-Davids dives on Voss from behind. He empties his Vickers machine guns into the triplane. Voss does little to avoid the deadly arc of bullets.
Given how much he straightened up and how the ferociousness of his maneuvering had abated, that he was wounded, and he was probably starting to have some difficulty maintaining consciousness.
Rhys-Davids fires another burst into the triplane, then pulls up. James McCudden is the only pilot to witness Voss's final moments.
When I next saw him, he was very low. I saw him go into a fairly steep dive, and so I continued to watch. And then saw the triplane hit the ground and disappear into 1,000 fragments. For it seemed to me that it literally went to powder.
After 10 minutes of ferocious combat, Werner Voss is dead at age 20. The German ace shot holes through every plane that attacked him, but incredibly, all returned to base.
As long as I live, I shall never forget my admiration for that German pilot. His flying was wonderful, his courage magnificent, and in my opinion, he is the bravest German airman who it has been my privilege to see fight. We saw ahead of us, just above Polkapelle, an SE half spinning down, closely pursued by a silvery blue German triplane at very close range.
The SE-5's tormentor is German ace Werner Voss. He fires a burst into the British plane. The plane has made quick work of 2 SE-5s. Voss's Fokker triplane is a prototype aircraft, though slower than most fighters on the front. Its 3 wings give it astonishing maneuverability. McCudden and 56 Squadron's Scout Experimental 5A, or SE-5A, operational in May 1970, Keith K. Muspratt and VP Cronin will follow. The remaining 2 members of B Flight stay up high as top cover. McCudden signals the attack by rocking his wings.
And it was at that point that one of the epic dogfights of World War I began.
Down we dived at the
The is easy to fly and an extremely stable gun platform. Both planes are heavily armed with 2 machine guns. The SE-5, with a top speed of 130 miles per hour, is faster than the Fokker, but the Fokker is more maneuverable. B Flight is now above and behind Voss, in perfect attack position. McCudden and Rhys-Davids will lead the attack. B Flight looks on. The wounded SE-5 trails thick black smoke as Voss engages a second SE-5. Effortlessly, the triplane pitches up, wings over, and drops onto the SE-5's tail. With 56 Squadron looking on from above, the triplane